Welcome to the Couch Scouts podcast. We provide league-winning analysis, advice, and tools to help you dominate your league and build a dynasty. Scout, draft, win. Here's your host, Matt Cooper.
Welcome to the Couch Scouts podcast. I am your host, Matt Cooper. With me are my co-hosts, Matt Rupert.
How you doing, my man?
And Matt Jackson.
What's going on, guys?
Oh, just your average 11:20 p.m. podcast, Eastern Standard Time. But,
Love it.
It's draft week. So we got to get you guys the instant reaction, the instant analysis coming. So a lot to talk about on tonight's show, and I'm really excited to get into it. A lot of fantasy relevant players went here in the first round, and we might even do some honorable mentions of some guys that didn't go, that maybe we're still interested in seeing where they're going to land tomorrow. So this will be posted up before we go to bed tonight, so you'll probably be listening to it sometime Friday or Saturday. If you're listening to this on Saturday, we also probably already have our day 2 reaction show up because we're going to do that tomorrow night. And then we're going to do a live post NFL draft rookie mock on Saturday evening towards the end of day 3. So a lot of content coming at you guys. So definitely keep an eye on the feed for the next couple of days. But yeah, all that being said, let's jump into it. And we'll start at the top. Fernando Mendoza goes 101, surprises nobody, right?
I think it did Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah, maybe Dan Orlovsky. No, I think even he knew that this was coming, whether he liked it or not. So, of course, the news is, Kirk Cousins is going to be our day 1 starter. They always say these types of things. Does that affect your thoughts on Mendoza at all?
Not me. And even if Kirk does start the whole year, I mean, I don't think you're drafting him to be your instant turn around your dynasty roster kind of player. We talked about before, his fantasy production may be slightly limited. He's not going to be a top 3 producer year in, year out kind of guy. I think best case he's going to be top 10, but he's going to need more weapons around him, and he's not going to have that this year. I don't think so. I mean, honestly, I would kind of prefer to let him sit out, let them fix that offensive line, not let him get crushed this year. So if that means that he slides down the draft boards a little bit more, then great. You can pick up some shares, maybe at 107, 108 potentially. But I wouldn't be surprised if Kirk does start this season more.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't provide that rushing upside that your typical top 5 quarterback is going to provide. So he was never going to be that type of guy. But I mean, you mentioned it, Cooper. I mean, teams say this all the time, and then by 5, 6, 7, 8 games into the season, they're starting. You don't use a number 1 overall pick on a quarterback not to play the quarterback, whether it's late in this year, whether it's early next year. You're going to get what you pay for. And honestly, at the price on Mendoza, at least on early rookie drafts that I've seen, is not high anyway. He was going right around that 104, 105 range. And I think that's where he's going to go still. Honestly, I could see him going maybe even a little earlier based on some of the landing spots that we're going to talk about, some of these wide receivers. He might go earlier than even some of these wide receivers. So you know what you were getting with Mendoza, and a lot of that doesn't change for me.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add there, except that guys waiting and getting a chance to develop is almost always better for them in the long run. I'll trade, 6 games or even a season for that chance for Mendoza to learn. And honestly, if he didn't play at all this year and Kirk Cousins is the one that gets killed behind that offensive line, and maybe by next year they have some offensive linemen and maybe a receiver for him to throw the ball to and all that, and just let Kirk Cousins be the sacrificial lamb for a year. I don't know, but yeah, that doesn't affect my thoughts on him. He's where he was before, which is going to be somewhere around the 4 or 5 range for me in my rankings once I reset everything after tonight. So Jeremiah Love is the next offensive player taken at number 3, which is really great draft capital for a running back. I mean, you just don't see that in today's NFL very often. But the Cardinals had the fewest rush attempts in the league in 2025. Granted, new coaching staff in town, and they were bottom half in yards per attempt. Does that scare you at all? Like Jacoby Brissett is still the quarterback. It might be kind of an anemic offense. They also still have, I believe, Tyler Algier, James Conner, and Trey Benson on the roster. What are you guys making of this landing spot here for Jeremiah Love? I'll start with you this time, Jackson.
Yeah, no, it doesn't scare me at all. I do think there is some cause to maybe rethink this a little bit, but honestly, like we were coming into this draft, Jeremiah Love was the 101, and he's still the 101. Like if there was a guy on this draft that it didn't matter where he went to, like Jeremiah Love was that guy. He's got the skill set to really succeed anywhere. I think it's interesting that they pay. I mentioned this in our Discord chat tonight that they pay the 3rd overall pick for Jeremiah Love. I mean that roster is so riddled with holes everywhere else, and now you've got a running back that's got $50.5 million guaranteed
Yep.
at the running back position, which is crazy. I still think he's going to be fine. Unfortunately, if you're holding on to, Trey Benson shares or James Conner or anything like that, like they're dead in the water now, right?
Goodbye.
Goodbye to those. I do think it's worth tampering expectations a little bit. And when I say that, I mean like look at Ashton Genty last year. Came in as the 101. We know who Ashton Genty is. We're not concerned about Ashton Genty even today. I think with his production, but he might not put up the season that you're maybe expecting Jeremiah Love to put up coming in to that roster. So I think it's not something to be worried about, but it is something to at least consider in the back of your mind. But he's still the 101. Like that doesn't change.
Yeah, it's so funny to me. I actually saw a tweet that was like, here's what the Cardinals did to Trey Benson this offseason. And it's a guy who gets shot and then he's on the ground and they shoot him like 5 more times in the chest.
I saw that right before I got on the
It's
podcast.
like, if there was ever a clear indication that they don't believe in that guy, I mean, first they like re-sign James Conner and then they bring in Algier and then they spend a number 3 pick on Jeremiah Love. Yeah, he's elite. This draft capital is elite. Like the hit rate on running backs getting drafted in the top 5 for fantasy to be like a high-end fantasy producer, it's almost can't miss. Like he has such a safe floor, even if that rookie year isn't like, he's not an RB1 right away as a rookie. Okay, fine. Like that happened to Genty last year. It happened to Bijan, in Atlanta. Yeah, Algier is probably going to be involved some, but like, and he was with Bijan too. Like he gave Bijan breathers. He was annoying at times, poaching goal line work, whatever. Like there's going to be some of that, but long term, like, come on, man. Like he's clearly the best running back on that roster. They invested a ton in him, like you mentioned with the paycheck. It's like, yeah, people forget that like if you're a top player at another position and you get drafted in the top 5, it's still like you're kind of on a bargain contract because it's the rookie scale deal. But for running back, if you get drafted that high, you're instantly one of the highest paid running backs in the league, which Jeremiah Love is now. So yeah, wheels up. He's even more the 101 than he was before tonight. So you got anything to add there, Rupert, or should we just move on?
I'm just ecstatic he went to Arizona. We didn't have to see if all that smoke coming out of the Giants was true and they were interested in taking Love.
God bless our Camp Scatterbo shares are still alive.
Yes. Thank goodness.
Still alive.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on. Carnell Tate goes the very next pick 4 to the Tennessee Titans. Cam Ward's wide receivers had the 10th highest drop rate in the NFL last season. Tate dropped exactly 0 passes in 2025, which we talked about on the main show a couple nights ago. But Ward also had the 4th highest bad throw rate in the NFL in 2025, according to PFR, whatever that is. Thanks, Garrett. I appreciate he's already in real time, like finding data for us. I love this guy. Garrett crushes it, making our show sheets. He's the best data guy you could ever ask for. But yeah, so Ward, obviously very, very up and down rookie season. Some really nice throws on tape, plenty of talent, a little bit erratic at times. The numbers were not good. He was not really usable for fantasy. But I mean, his wide receiver one was like who even was it? Was it Ridley? Was it Ayomayor? Like whatever it was, it wasn't good. Yeah, Chimeri DK. So now you've got Wandale, who's not like a world beater, but he's better than anybody they had last year. And then you add Tate, who I think is a fantastic talent. I said this in our voice chat on Discord. And by the way, if you haven't already joined the Discord, it's completely free, and hang out with us. We're going to be doing a live voice chat tomorrow night for day 2 as well. So we'll be in there. It was a really good time tonight. But on the voice chat, I said this, and it's kind of a bold take, I think, but I see some Justin Jefferson in Carnell Tate's game, man. Like just the way that he's so smooth with his footwork and his route running, and the fluidity that he comes out of his breaks, and then the elite ball skills to match, and the good size and the length. Like I see a lot of similarities in their game, and Jefferson was another guy that, like, from a production standpoint in college, he played second fiddle to Jamar Chase, just like Tate had to play second fiddle to Jeremiah Smith. He was going in that draft class behind Lamb and Judy and Rager and all those guys. And then, so nobody really thought he was going to be what he was in the NFL until he just was that guy. And I'm excited for Tate to get in here and have a chance to be a true alpha and take over and, win at all 3 levels of the field and be a target hog and not just be this deep threat kind of guy that he was for a lot of his Ohio State career. So to me, this Carnell Tate, I don't know what you guys think. He's very clearly my 102. He already was before this, but I think he's even more cemented in that now. I mean, going as high as he did in the draft, being the clear number 1 wide receiver on his team. I'm all aboard the Carnell Tate hype train. What about you guys?
I can start because I mentioned on the podcast this week I've been flip-flopping Tate and Tyson at 102 in my rankings. I flipped back to Tyson before the draft, and now I'm flipping back to Tate. Clear number 1, and I think his skill set matches Ward's game really well. Like, Ward can throw the ball down the field on those scramble drills, and he needs someone that's going to reliably catch the ball for him, as evident by the drop rate of his wide receivers. So just such a great fit. And who else does he have? Like a 30-something-year-old Ridley, Aome, or DK?
Wandale.
Yeah. Great. Yeah,
Wandale Robinson,
really, really
I think
good.
I think they complement each other well. Like, he is going to take a lot of underneath slot work and probably is going to eat up some targets. But again, there's plenty of targets to go around in that offense. So yeah.
What it reminds me of, honestly, is a little bit of the Panther situation of last year, right? You bring in a wide receiver 1 in the first round. You've got an older wide receiver. The Panthers had Thielen, and you've got Calvin Ridley, the older wide receiver for the Titans. The offense was a little anemic, and we saw that Tedderone McMillan was peppered with targets. We see how that worked out for him. And not that they're the same mold of player, but Carnell Tate is going to get almost all the targets, right? We mentioned that the offense was anemic, but that's why you bring Brian Daboll in, right? Who has a history of developing quarterbacks, being an offensive-minded guy. Like, it's wheels up, and I'm with you guys. I've locked him in pretty firmly in my 102 rankings now.
Yeah. So speaking of Jordan Tyson, and are you more threatened by Wandale Robinson, or are you more threatened by Chris Olave? So Jordan Tyson, though, I mean, he's going to be a riser for me. I had him at 6, and I was a little lower than consensus. Definitely a little lower than you, Rupert, who was considering him at 2. I like him from a talent standpoint. He's, right there in the same tier with Lemon and Concepcion and a lot of these guys. top 10 was like clearly, at least all it takes is one team, right? But at least the Saints, you know, either they were never scared off by the combine and pro day not being healthy, or he showed enough in that personal workout that they're cool taking the risk. I don't know, but I don't think I was really expecting Tyson to go in the top 10. He goes top 10 to the Saints. They were drafted or they were mocked to take a wide receiver a lot, but it was usually Tate because he was the only wide receiver that was usually being mocked in the top 10. Um, but yeah, I mean, this is Shuck looked pretty good last year, definitely exceeded our expectations. They bring in ETN. Like, this is an offense that looks like it's on the rise. But is Shuck good enough to support two high-end fantasy wide receivers? I think that remains to be seen. So, we'll talk later on in the show about Concepcion, who I had above Tyson pre-draft. We'll talk about Lemon, who I also had above Tyson pre-draft. And for me, Tyson definitely is jumping at least one of those guys, I think. Obviously you're getting instant reactions here. This is all raw. We haven't fully processed. We talked about it some in our voice chat with the guys, and it's like, man, Lemon, like, he goes to a spot where he's in a offense that has been in the Super Bowl the last couple of years, but is it a high volume passing offense? We don't really know. It wasn't last year, but there's a new offensive coordinator. We think that they're probably going to move on from AJ Brown, but what if your rookie draft is happening before they've actually moved on from AJ Brown? So, like, there's a lot to sort out there with Lemon, and then Concepcion. We'll talk about him later on too, but I think Tyson's going to move up my rankings. The question for me is, how much is he going to move up my rankings? And I want to throw it to you, Rupert, because you've been bullish on him from the start. Like, what are your thoughts on this spot for Tyson? And I know you said you moved Tate above him. Is he your clear number 3 guy?
Yes. Despite jokingly texting some one of my Saints friends that I'm moving Tyson down in my rankings because he's a Saint now. I actually really like this landing spot. Shuck showed a lot more than I was expecting this past year, and I think he throws the ball well down the field. And I think Tyson and Olave is a good pair, and there's really not much else after them. So I think both those guys are just going to get peppered with targets. You got the draft capital. And so I'm actually really excited about this. So I'm locking him in at 103.
No, I'm right there with Rupert, I think, at 103 in my rankings for him. I think that not only can he be somebody that does well, can Shuck support Tyson in the passing game, I think we could see a potential with him maybe being even the primary target in that offense. I know Olave is good, and I'm not dissing Olave at all, but I think some of the things that Jordan Tyson does game wise fit Shuck a little better than Olave. And then based on some of the other wide receiver landing spots, like, we know that he's going to get targets. You've got the question marks around the offense of the Eagles. You've got question marks surrounding the landing spot of Concepcion. Like, for me, I think if I'm on the clock right now at 103, Tyson's the guy that I'm looking at there.
Yeah, I mean, even as you guys talk, I'm sitting here debating in my head about it. And I'll finalize my rankings, and we'll send out our post draft rookie guide update as soon as we can. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go with what you guys are saying. Like, even if you look analytically, I know we're a film-based group here, but again, when you're looking at 3 guys who are in the same tier as far as our recliner rating, and they're so close together in our rankings, and we're trying to differentiate, I think you can let draft capital and landing spot be a tiebreaker. And I still do have those lingering injury concerns with Tyson. Like, okay, he's healthy enough right now that he did this workout and he looked really good, but every year it seems like there's something. So that's still in the back of my mind, and it's a factor. But if you look at hit rates for top 10 wide receivers versus like later in the first round, just generic, somewhere first round, but not top 10. I think there's actually a significant difference there in terms of like percentage hitting. So that matters, that a team took him this high, is this invested in him. I don't agree with what you said, Jackson, about Olave. I think Olave he's too good. Um, Tyson is not going to come in and take wide receiver one from Olave, at least not as a rookie. I don't think so. Olave just was a top 10 fantasy wide receiver, I think, off the top of my head. And he's just an elite separator, and he's super established that, he's been in the system for years. Like, I don't see that happening. So the real question is, like, is that offense good enough to support both of them? And do you have to be patient with Tyson for a little bit? For him to really kind of establish, which I think there's cases for all of these rookies that you might have to be patient, including Jeremiah Love, who we talked about. But that's always the case. Like, we're playing dynasty fantasy football. Every rookie's not going to be like a Brock Bowers or Justin Jefferson that wins you your league. You just draft the talent and you let the rest figure itself out. And I do think I'm going to have Tyson at 3 in my rankings, probably by the slightest of margins. But yeah, you could really convince me on either of the others. But all right, let's go to Ty Simpson. There's still a lot to talk about here. Ty Simpson goes at pick 13 to the Rams. This might have been the surprise of the first round. And there is a ton that we could unpack here. Usually, like, okay, if you've been listening to the Couch Scouts for a while, we did not think that he was a first round talent. We've been pretty open about that on the show. You can check out our full breakdown on him from a couple weeks ago. We went trait by trait. We had our quarterback guru on here. It was a great episode. But usually when I see, okay, it's a weak draft class, but there's this second guy that's probably not really a first round talent, but he might go in the first round anyway, just because some team's desperate. But the Rams don't need to be desperate, right? Like, they have a quarterback that just won the MVP. So clearly they must really believe in Ty Simpson. This isn't just some desperation pick, but we didn't see it at all. And then, of course, he's got Sean McVay, who's known around the NFL as one of the greatest offensive minds. Foz made a good point. Our quarterback guru in the live Discord chat, he said, are we overrating the McVay factor? Because he didn't really develop Goff. He had to trade Goff away and bring in a guy who was already a Hall of Famer to win a Super Bowl. And Goff arguably got better when he left Sean McVay. So I thought that was a fair point. But as far as landing spot goes, you couldn't ask for much better here for Ty Simpson. Like, he gets great draft capital. He gets the time that he desperately needs to develop. And he's got great weapons around him. Like, I don't know if Devontae Adams will still be there by the time Ty Simpson is the starter, but you got Puka Nacua. They got plenty of time to draft another wide receiver. You got the McVay factor. Like, are you guys more in on Ty Simpson now than you were before the draft?
No, like this whole thing reeks of like the classic, like, girl dates guy and says I can fix him, right? Like, I
Yeah.
feel like McVay or somebody in the Rams organization came in and said I can fix him, right? Like, I know he's got bad fundamentals. I know his accuracy is all over the place. I know he doesn't have great arm talent, but I can fix all of that. And for me, I've seen that happen one too many times, and like, somebody just doesn't. You have this famous saying, Cooper, and I've always stuck to it, right? It's, if somebody tells you who they are, believe them, right? And like, I feel like watching the film on Ty Simpson, he's told us time and time again who he is, and it's just not that great a quarterback. He's raw. He doesn't have many starts under his belt. Like, it was a surprise pick, and it begged the question before you guys got in there, like, Garrett was talking that he had 3 picks, 10, 11, and 12 in the back of the first round. And do you take a swing at Ty Simpson in the back of the first round because you need to accrue value, and Simpson is at the very least not going to it's not going to lose value. He's going to hold value. And at the very most, he's going to gain value after this offseason. which I thought was an interesting question. It was an interesting thing to pose. I still just don't know if I'm there yet. Like I don't know if I'm to the point right now, knowing what I know about Ty Simpson, that I can waste a first round pick on somebody that I sheerly don't believe in.
I think I could do it in that situation. I'll play the other side. I'm more in on him with this situation. You know, you're with an offensive guru that knows how to scheme around you. He's only had one season starting in college. What does that tell me? He needs time to develop. Well, perfect. He has zero pressure to start unless Stafford gets injured. So I like that he can sit out, he can develop more, he can improve more. He shows some flashes in this season. So if he can, sit behind Stafford, learn behind him, develop, and then be able to do that more consistently, like I could see a potential of like taking him a lot earlier than I was anticipating.
Yeah, I think I'm more on your side of it, Rupert. Like I had him in my pre-draft ranks at 16, and it was kind of a placeholder because I was like, if I was drafting based off where I have him graded, he would be way, way lower than that. But I was also like expecting that he might be a first round pick and thinking if he is a first round pick, I'm probably going to have to bump him up. Um, it's like, when do you take that gamble on it's a super flex league and he's a first round quarterback and you add in that it's a weak draft class? Like, I think he's going to come up for me from 16. The question is how high. And I think a lot of that has to do with there's a bunch of guys in front of him that haven't gone off the board yet. Antonio Williams, Denzel Boston, Elijah Surratt, Mike Washington Jr., Jonah Coleman, Eli Stowers, Justin Jolie. Is it? I mean, I think there's a pretty good chance that 3 or 4 of the guys that I just mentioned end up falling to day 3. Like I like them, but would it be crazy to you if Jonah Coleman was like a 4th round pick, or if Elijah Surratt was a 4th round pick, or if Justin Jolie was a 4th round pick? So I think some of those guys could fall to day 3, and if they do, it's like, man, it's really hard to justify taking like a 4th round Jonah Coleman over a 1st round Ty Simpson. So yeah, like I mean, we mentioned this on the last bonus podcast on Tuesday night. It's like that tier from 9 to 18 is so wide open. The draft is going to determine a lot. And I could see moving Ty Simpson up to somewhere in the 12 to 14 range, just because this draft class is what it is, not because I love Ty Simpson. And so, yeah, like it, depending on how day 2 goes, for sure, if I'm on the clock and I have 10, 11, and 12, I really might. I really might spend one of those shots on Ty Simpson, but I would feel gross about it. I would have to hold my nose. I wouldn't be excited to do it. But I think it's a good conversation to have. And the other thing is, we're wrong so often about quarterback. Everybody's wrong. So it's the hardest position to get right. Like, who thought Jackson Dart was going to be better than Cam Ward last year? I didn't. I had Jackson Dart like either 112 or like early 2nd round in my rankings last year, post draft, after he'd gone 1st round to the Giants, and I was still like, I don't really love him that much. And now he's like he's like a 2nd round startup pick.
See, what makes this conversation hard for me is I agree with everything you guys are saying. Like, it's not that I disagree with you. It's that, like, we've seen this situation play out and work, but we've also seen it play out with guys like Josh Rosen. We've seen it play out with guys like Trey Lance, right? They were 1st round picks, and now they're bottom of the roster cannon fodder, right?
Yeah, I'm not guaranteeing you that he's going to hit, but like, can you guarantee me that Jonah Coleman's going to hit? Like, I don't know. In this class, I just think like normally I'm not that guy that's like, oh, he went 1st round, you have to throw out your eval and take him. But that's never been my philosophy. But this class is rough, man. So I don't know. I'm a little bit more prone to do that this year, but again, I'm not excited about it. So let's move on. Let's go ahead. You got something?
I just want to double tap on, like, yes, this is our eval, but this is our eval on, 12 games of him playing. So like there is that room to improve. I would be
Yeah.
more like if he has like 4 seasons of starting and it's like, all right, that's our eval. Like then I don't see much chance of him improving, getting to sit for a year. So that's why I say that I'm more in on him now.
And let's not discount the fact that he could sit for 2 years. I mean, like it happened with Jordan Love and Rodgers. It's like Rodgers decides he's not done, and you're just like, so there may even be a buy window, if at the end of a year Stafford says, I'm coming back, and you know, like you could potentially get Ty Simpson cheap if that ends up happening. Um, and it might be 2 years that he ends up sitting. I wouldn't rule out that possibility. Stafford certainly looks like he could play 2 more years if he wants to. He's playing really well right now. But let's move on. Kenyon Sadiq goes to the Jets at pick 16. And that sound that you're hearing right now, it's the sound of Rupert's Mason Taylor shares crying in agony. Last year, if you weren't with us, Jackson and I looked at Mason Taylor's tape and we're like, I don't see it. I don't think he's good. I really don't see any special traits. Rupert was much more in on him than we were. And now I don't even know what you do with this, because it's like Mason Taylor was a terrible blocker. Well, Kenyon Sadiq is also not a great blocker. I mean, he's okay, but he's not a great blocker. And, you draft him, he's this tweener, undersized guy. Like you're drafting him to probably play more slot than inline, I would think. And so you could throw out the like, oh, they're going to run 2 tight end sets, but it's just neither of them is a natural inline blocker. So I don't know how this is going to play out. I know I like Sadiq a whole lot more than I like Mason Taylor. And I know that they just invested a top 16 pick on Kenyon Sadiq, which they, second round is good draft capital for a tight end, but top 16 is a lot better. So, yeah, I kind of think Mason Taylor's dead as a dynasty asset. And, but the question is like, how much do we hate this Sadiq landing spot? Are we still in? Is he falling for us? I want to throw it to you, Rupert, because I mean, you were the biggest Taylor guy out of the 3 of us. You were also the biggest Sadiq guy out of the 3 of us. So I really want to hear your thoughts, man.
I just want to say I hate the Jets for ruining so many players that I like. I'm really tired of it. Now I can just hope that maybe my Panthers trade and get Mason Taylor on their team and they can both produce. I mean, look, I like Sadiq more than I like Taylor. What I liked about Mason Taylor was he was like just turned 20 when he was coming out of college. Like he was so young. He has so much room to improve. And then he flashed last year. Like he had a tiny stretch of production, but
he had one good game. He had one good game.
1.5. Come on. He had 3 drives in that second.
We'll always have that 112 target game. Rest in peace.
Yeah. And Geno Smith doesn't really seem to support many tight ends. So I just hate this. I just hate this.
Yeah. This is like,
because the draft class isn't that great. Like I'm probably not bumping Sadiq down, but I don't love it as much as I was hoping to love it.
I love Kenyon Sadiq more than I like Mason Taylor for sure. Like he's a better tight end, but like you're also telling me, you brought up the Geno Smith thing, Rupert. Like you've got Garrett Wilson on that roster. You just drafted Sadiq, then you drafted Omar Cooper, and you still got Breece Hall in the backfield. We just haven't done having the conversation. Can Tyler Shuck support 2 wide receivers? Can Geno Smith do it? Like it's
we're asking him to support 3 because I mean, so let's just talk about Omar Cooper Jr. I know we've kind of been going in order here, but let's throw Omar Cooper in because he also goes to the Jets. They trade up to pick 30 and they take him at the end of the first round. So you've got Omar Cooper Jr., you've got Kenyon Sadiq, you got Garrett Wilson, and you got Breece Hall, and you're asking Geno Smith to support all of that from a fantasy standpoint. I'm just here to tell you right now, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. And really what we're praying on right now is that somehow, in spite of all that offensive talent, they're still bad enough to be in a position to take Arch Manning or Dante Moore or somebody next year because,
Yeah.
you put the right quarterback in this offense, all of a sudden, now we're cooking. This is looking pretty good. This year's going to be really frustrating if you have any of those guys. Now, I think Garrett Wilson out of that group is the one that I'm still like pretty comfortable with. I mean, he was playing like a top 5 fantasy wide receiver last year, before he got hurt. And that was with Justin Fields, who's, I would say, worse than Geno Smith in terms of supporting fantasy wide receivers. So I know you add in these other pieces, but Garrett Wilson is so clearly superior to Sadiq and Omar Cooper Jr., as much as I like those guys. So anyway, all of that to say, it's going to be a rough year for fantasy assets on the New York Jets. And, but I said this earlier, there's a lot of these rookies you're going to have to be patient with. This is Dynasty. I'm still drafting the talent. Like for me, even when you look at the film grades in like the 78, 79 range for me are Cooper Jr. and Sadiq. And then the next best guy is like Boston at like a 75 or 74. Like it's a decent little drop. And I think there's a tier break there. I'll let landing spot and draft capital break a tie, but I'm not going to let landing spot and draft capital jump a guy up tiers. So, for me, 7, 8 in some order, depending on the tight end premium, is going to be Sadiq and Cooper Jr. I'm almost positive of that. We'll see what happens on day 2 of the draft. 7 and 8 is probably going to be those two guys. So I'm not dropping them that far.
I mean, realistically, the only guys that you may not have to be patient on are Jeremiah Love and Carnell Tate. And there still might be some patience involved there. Like the rest of those guys, like landed in a situation, and we still got more to talk about, but they landed in a situation where they're not going to go and be the alpha wide receiver or the main target hugger on their team day one. It's just not going to happen.
Yep. All right. So we're at 37 minutes. We got 3 more guys to talk about. One of them should be a pretty short conversation. But maybe it won't be. I don't know. We'll see. Let's bunch these 2 wide receivers together that we haven't talked about yet. That's Mekhi Lemon to the Philadelphia Eagles at pick 20, traded with Dallas to move up from 24 to take him. And then Casey Concepcion goes at pick 24 to the Cleveland Browns. So, with Lemon, do we trust the talent and take Lemon? Or are we concerned about this landing spot for a couple of reasons? One, because Hurts hasn't been a very good passer the last couple of years. The passing offense has been pretty anemic. Even AJ Brown, who's, elite, didn't produce super well this year. Devontae Smith has been like a low end wide receiver too his whole career from a fantasy standpoint. So that's a concern. And then also they haven't actually moved AJ Brown yet. We expect that to happen. All the reports are that post June 1st that's happening, but you're probably going to be on the clock in your rookie draft before they've actually traded AJ Brown. So there's a lot to think about there with Lemon. And then Concepcion, you're talking about a guy that like absolute my guy in this class. I love him. I think he's the best separator in the draft class. And he goes to the landing spot that was like the one place in the first round that we were like, oh, don't send a wide receiver to the Browns. Like we all groaned on air when this pick got made. But when you stop and think about it a little bit more, like we did in the voice chat, you're like, wait a minute. He has a clear path to being the wide receiver 1 on his team. He and Fannin could both get like a 25% target share. There's nobody else there that we respect. No offense, Jerry Jeudy. And if Sanders / Deshaun are not the guy, presumably they'll draft a guy next year. But yeah, it's like it could be a lot worse, dude. He got first round draft capital, and he's got a clear path to being the wide receiver 1 on his team day 1. Like I don't hate this spot for Concepcion. So Yeah, how are you ranking these guys? We all said I think we're gonna put Tyson at 3. I think 4, 5, 6. It will, depending on where you put Mendoza in there. But as far as wide receivers, okay, so it's gonna be Tate, it's gonna be Tyson, and then who's your next guy? Is it Concepcion? Does he jump Lemon because of some of the concerns I mentioned? Or is Lemon still up there because we think he's clearly the better talent and we think AJ Brown's going to get moved and whatever? So where are you at on this? I'll throw it to you first, Jackson, since you're an Eagles fan.
Yeah, no, I definitely get the concern that people were talking about. Jalen Hurts not being a high volume passer, the offense being, we've used the word anemic for some other offenses. The Eagles' offense was anemic. If you look at some of it went beyond just Jalen Hurts. Like if you looked at their route concepts, the offense they were running, it lacked flavor, it lacked versatility, and it was a bad offense they were running. I do want to defend that pick, or at least defend Mekhi Lemon's landing spot a little bit, because if you look at Jalen Hurts, like he's had a new offensive coordinator every single year. That's something that we've all known. He hasn't really been able to build that rhythm with an offensive coordinator, and that's affected the passing. No doubt about that. You get in Sean Mannion now, coming from Green Bay, runs a lot more complex route trees, does a lot more RPO stuff, working kind of the middle to short area of the field. And I think that's where Mekhi Lemon really excels, is some of that, over the middle, short area of the field stuff. So I'm not as out on this pick as maybe some people would be. I still trust the talent. I trust what he's done and who Mekhi Lemon is. And when there's smoke, there's fire, and there's smoke everywhere that AJ Brown has gone. Like I don't. I know we don't know if he's gone for sure or not, but I don't see a situation where he's on that roster, just based on some of the moves they made. And as you mentioned with Concepcion, I mean he's coming in and he's going to earn a high target share. He's going to be the best wide receiver on their roster. You mentioned in the Discord, even in 2 wide receiver sets, he's going to be on the field.
Yeah.
So both of these picks, I mean, I'm not knocking them down for sure. I mean, they're hanging right around that, 5 to 7 range for me, and that's where they're going to stay, or 4 to 6 range. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about women's landing spot too much. Yes, I would have loved to have seen them go to a better offense.
The Panthers.
Yes. A little salty. We let him go, and then he goes next pick. I'm gonna stick with my pre-draft eval and rankings. So I'm going to stick with Lemon there, just ahead of Concepcion. Hopefully, maybe we can get some quality quarterback play with the Browns, because I would have loved to see Concepcion and Fannin really go to the moon.
Yeah, so from a recliner rating standpoint, Concepcion for me was 78.73 and Lemon was a 79.20. So you're talking about a half of a point difference in their recliner rating. And I definitely think I like this Browns landing spot better for Concepcion than I do this Eagles spot for Lemon. Yeah, I mean, even from just the standpoint that Devontae Smith is there and he's clearly the number 1, right? So Lemon is the number 2 guy in a limited passing attack. So I don't know, man. Like in the short term, I kind of fully expect Concepcion to have a better rookie season than Lemon. And that does matter because as much as we want to say we're dynasty managers and we're thinking long term, people tend to be very reactionary. Like remember how JSN's stock plummeted after he did what we all knew he was going to do. Like he got drafted to a team with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett in their prime, and he waited his turn, and we all knew that was going to happen, and then still we bumped him down. So I don't know. Like I'm really torn here. I think I'm gonna stay with Lemon. But it's close. Like I think Lemon got the worst landing spot of all of these first round wide receivers outside of Omar Cooper Jr. So yeah, it's tough for me.
You talking there just sowed some doubt in my mind. I'm like, wait, yes,
Dude,
Devontae will always be way
I
better
love
than Jerry Judy.
I love Concepcion, man. I mean, y'all know he's been a my guy throughout the process. I think he's more explosive than Lemon. I think he's a better route runner than Lemon. Lemon has way better ball skills. So weigh those out. It comes out, on my recliner rating, half a point higher in Lemon's favor. But man, I don't know. Y'all will see it when it comes out on the rookie guide. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you right now. I truly don't know who I'm going to rank higher. So we got one more guy to talk about, and that is Jadarian Price. He goes to the Seattle Seahawks at pick 32.
I told you.
I mean, this was like all the mocks were saying that this could happen, and we were like, no, like, come on. This one to me completely baffling. I don't get it. Like, I think he's like a third or fourth round talent. Teams just don't spend first round picks on running backs. And so to spend a first round pick on this running back, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And there's some fun highlights there. There's some things he does well. It's on a relatively limited sample size. Like, we watched a good number of games, but those games had like 3 minutes of actual footage in them because he touched the ball like 10 times or whatever. There's no receiving in his profile whatsoever. He's not a significantly elusive player. He's got great burst. He's got pretty strong vision. He's a stout guy that can break some tackles at times, but I wouldn't say that he has like great contact balance or great power. So yeah, for me, he graded out, in the recliner rating as a backup with starter upside. And yeah, to take a guy like that in first round, I mean, there's like 15 players from last year's running back class that I would have had ahead of him. Like Caleb Johnson, who we didn't like, I would have had ahead of him. So, but the conversation is going to be the volume, right? We had it in our Discord voice chat. Tom was in there saying, who cares about all that stuff? They just spent a first round pick on him. They don't have anybody else on the roster. He's going to get force fed touches. He's going to score fantasy points. That's all you're really looking for at the end of the day. And I kind of get that argument in a sense, especially in this draft class where there's not that many guys that you're excited about. He's definitely going to have a first round rookie ADP at this point. Are either of you guys taking him with a first round rookie pick? I'll throw it to you, Rupert.
I don't really see any way I could. I mean, we could see something wild where like all those guys that we have from like 10 to 16 just get terrible landing spots. They go later than expected. Feel gross about
Right.
those. And then I'm like, oh, okay, well, Price will actually get some volume this year, so I guess I'll take him. But yeah, it will be one of those things where like I hold my nose while I do it. I'm not going to be happy about it. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I just don't see it.
See, I'm kind of like, I'm with you, Rupert. I could see a scenario like Elijah Surratt goes later than we think he's going to go. Those other running backs, Mike Washington, Jonah Coleman, Emmett Johnson, go later than we think they're going to go. Denzel Boston ends up in a terrible landing spot. Like in that perfect storm, yeah, like I take him at the end of the first round. Where I have trouble with it is like, what's the long-term value there? Like he might get immediate production year one, but is there any security there? We see that if there's any position that a team is willing to replace pretty easily, it's the running back position. And if you're not elite in any area, like that's such a dangerous pick for me. I would make it and I would feel good about it. And I would wonder what the long-term value really is in that pick.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, even if Denzel Boston goes second round to a gross landing spot, like I probably still am going to have him above Price. If Coleman goes round 4, but he goes to a team where he has a chance to start, like I might still have him above Price. I don't know. Like it's just even last year, this happened with RJ Harvey, where I've got a third round ranking on him pre-draft, and then he goes second round to the Broncos and everybody's losing their minds, and he gets bumped up to a first round ADP. And I'm going, no, like we do this whole pre-draft process. We're not just throwing it out the window and just blindly following draft capital. That's not what we do. We've had plenty of guys in the past that, like, oh, Quentin Johnston went first round to the Chargers. It's about as ideal as it gets. And we still
They
faded
literally
him.
they literally did this with Rashad Penny a couple years ago. Like it's the
I know. So, I mean, this is hard for me because it is a worse draft class than last year. But like I've got him at 25 in my pre-draft rankings right now. Like, am I really going to bump him up 13 spots and get him in the top 12? I don't think so. We do all this work for months. I'm not just throwing it out the window. So, I mean, we'll see what happens on day 2. I have a feeling I'm going to be, below consensus on Price. And look at what happened with Harvey last year. Like, he's not really a dynasty asset that you're overly excited to have. Like, they end up signing Dobbins. Everybody was so certain that Harvey after the draft was going to be an RB1 as a rookie. It didn't happen. So, like, who's to say that the Seahawks don't go out and sign somebody like 2 weeks after the draft? They get a look at Jadarian Price in training camp, and they're like, "Oh, we need a J.K. Dobbins in here stat." You know, um, like, "Oh man, maybe we could go get James Conner from from the Cardinals now." Um, so I don't know, man. Like, don't count your chickens before they're hatched. I'm not assuming that Jadarian Price is coming in here and lighting the world on fire as a rookie just because the only argument in his favor is like, well, there's nobody else there. Um, so yeah, I don't like that pick for the Seahawks, and I'm probably not going to have any shares in Dynasty. So, all right, we've already gone long. We're at 52 minutes. There was a lot to talk about. Hopefully, you guys that are listening found a lot of value in this, just hearing us talk it all out from a Dynasty fantasy football standpoint. And this was helpful for me, even talking it out, like processing it in real time. This is going to help me as I go to resort my ranks, and we'll have more coverage. Tomorrow we'll have that day 2 reaction show. Saturday we will have that post NFL draft rookie mock. Definitely within a week of the NFL draft finishing, we will have that post draft update to you on the rookie guide, but hopefully sooner than that, because we know some of you guys have rookie drafts coming up quick, and we want to make sure that you have that in your hands, ready to dominate. We're excited to start doing some consultations with some of you guys too. So a lot going on. We'll be hanging out in the Discord again tomorrow night. It's a fun time to be a part of the Couch Scouts family. I can't believe we're 53 minutes into the podcast and I haven't even shouted out our website. Shame on me as a host, but no better time, literally no better time of the year than now to get in on CouchScouts.com. Get you access to the rookie guide, get you access to go book a consultation with us and set a plan for your rookie draft, get your access to the bonus podcasts, get in on all of that. It won't be a disappointment to you. I believe in what we're doing here, and we pack value into that thing. So join the Couch Scouts family. And right now you can use promo code DRAFT and get 30% off your first year with us. So appreciate you guys listening. If you stuck around to the end, give us a rating review on whatever podcast app you're listening on, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.